So thank you both, and welcome to our Mission Possible sofa. This is our little area for some of the industry leaders and kind of key speakers at this event to kind of unwind, relax, and just have a bit of chat about sustainability. Hopefully there's no kind of piercing questions. It's quite informal and quite friendly, I hope. Solitaire Townsend, of course, co-founder of Futerra, and you have been trying to make the world a better place for nearly 30 years, is what I've taken from your LinkedIn profile. And have you found that successful so far, that mission? Or?
Absolutely. So I passionately believe that sustainability is the biggest entrepreneurial opportunity ever. It is incredibly fulfilling for the individuals doing it, and bluntly, I don't know why anybody wouldn't. So we've got these massive challenges in the world today, from climate change to poverty, to issues around intergenerational, which we're just hearing about, to all of the things which are being discussed here at edie. Now, you face a challenge with one of two attitudes, either a defeatist, fatalistic issue around a challenge, or an entrepreneurial, optimistic attitude. And Futerra was based on a optimistic, positive attitude 17 years ago, and I can tell you it's a pretty good business plan. So yeah, I'm feeling a lot of it here today. I'm feeling a lot of energy, a lot of optimism, a lot of solutions, a lot of technology, and yeah, it's been a brilliant day so far.
Brilliant. And sitting alongside you, of course, is Anita Longley, chair of the Institute of Corporate Responsibility and Sustainability, which
Yes.
is a mouthful after 2 days of edie Live coverage. So ICRS for short we'll go with from now on. And of course, you know, ICRS's aim is, I suppose, is to build that optimism up in a kind of forum manner and make sure that the sustainability professionals of today are equipped with what they need to deliver on the challenges. And how is your view, I suppose, of this global push towards sustainability and the view of the ICRS?
Well, I think the first thing to say about the ICRS is our mission is absolutely to make CR professionals brilliant at their job, and that's the bottom line as far as we're concerned, because actually people who work in the CR world are given a mandate to make change and to challenge, and we have to help and support people to do that. We've just heard a really inspiring presentation from Global Action Plan, and they have developed with their young people this prenup, which is a whole list of this is what business should be doing in the CR world, and this is what the millennials, our new future CR leaders, commit to do. And I think that kind of energy and making sure that as an institute, indeed, that we're engaging those people in that debate, because frankly, you know, McKinsey's have told us by 2020, 50% of the workforce are going to be from the millennials. That's actually a threat and an amazing opportunity for big corporations. So I think that's one of the things I'll take away today, is to make sure that the voice of the millennial is heard in the boardroom.
Brilliant, really good to hear. And I suppose as well, we've had a couple of real big global drivers with the Paris Agreement and the SDGs becoming this. So, I mean, as two people who have spent most of their careers in sustainability and watching it develop, how have you viewed, I suppose, the global drivers all pushing together? I mean, obviously it's in relation to increasingly worse climate change, stuff like that, but has the framework ever been better for a sustainability professional to get into the boardroom or get into other areas and say, this is what we need to do?
So one of the things which we're beginning to see is some of the most ambitious people who have gone into business wanting to work in sustainability. We are likely to have our first CEOs coming up, not just through marketing or through law, but coming up through sustainability and getting the big chair in businesses. It's really exciting times. And the framework, things like the Paris Agreement and the SDGs, very much help give people a basis for the conversation. So people have heard of Paris, they've heard of the SDGs. But there's also a whole other pressure that is coming on businesses, which is not just from the, should we say, big formal instruments, but it's also from the small start-up, hungry, authentic businesses. The barriers to entry to business are lower than they've ever been before. We have entrepreneurs from every part of society, from everywhere in the world, being able to capture a small part of the market. And those challengers, those challenger businesses to the big incumbents, I would say are as much a driver of change as the big frameworks are. So they're getting squeezed from either side, and I very rarely ever come across a business nowadays who isn't trying to work out how to survive that and potentially really thrive in it.
Okay, and Anita, a similar question to you then with the ICRS. How have your members responded to the SDGs and having to embed them into a company? Because it's it's harder to do in theory.
Absolutely, and the first thing to say is I think the framework's great, and I agree with you, Solitaire. The driver, and it gives you a language to describe in the boardroom why these things are important. What I think is really interesting is the way that some of our members are working with organisations like social enterprise to bring that innovation into what can be sometimes a very staid and rigid corporate culture. And so when you look at organisations like Waits, who are actually using social enterprises along their supply chain, the benefits of that are phenomenal. So they're not spending any more money, but what they are doing is engaging with small, as you said, startups, entrepreneurial organisations to actually address some of those sustainability development goals, as an example. And I think, we're kind of at that stage now where we're seeing quite a lot of disruption and, as you said, pressure in the marketplace, which can only be a good thing. And I think, as I've said before, companies that don't embrace this change, companies that don't start working in more clever ways, are the ones that will lose out at the end of the day.
Well, let's just for a second think about where we are. We're essentially in a trade show, and there are some companies here that have got these massive stands, and they're giving away pens and what have you, and they're really big businesses. And there's also some really small guys who've got sort of one chair and a PowerPoint here. And who's to say over the next couple of years who's going to be taking the big stands and who's going to be taking the small stands at somewhere like Edie? There is so much energy and entrepreneurialism in this sector right now.
I'm glad you actually brought up that kind of the next few years, how it's going to change so much. And I appreciate you have to go back to your stand, so to the presentation, so I will keep this very brief. But in line with Mission Possible, it's all about helping businesses achieve their goals, their ideas and their missions in the future. And in relation to the skills piece, what key skills do you think the future sustainability leaders would need to have that aren't there now in order for their businesses or whoever they end up working for to achieve a sustainable future?
So, unsurprisingly, from a change agency like Futerra, I would say there's two sides to it, logic and magic. So on the logic side, I would say entrepreneurial skills. Learning, understanding, being able to spot opportunities and thinking laterally rather than just the managerial sustainability, of which I think we've got a really good foundation of now. So that's sort of logical, really, really strong entrepreneurial skills. And then secondly, on the magic side, I would say communications. The ability to engage, to sell, to listen, which is also a communication skill, is something which I think a lot of sustainability folks feel that they should have and that maybe they're not as confident in. And both of those skill sets can be learnt. So that's why I'd really encourage people to go out there and get those skills.
And then Anita,
Yeah, from the Institute's perspective, so we've developed a framework of core competencies for sustainability professionals, which I urge people to look at. I think the thing that's really important, as you said, I agree with you completely, it's the logic and the magic. Sorry, it's a bit of a boring panel, we should disagree, shouldn't we?
Really agree.
But what I'm really passionate about as well is what the Institute is providing is a peer-to-peer network of that self-supporting group. So we've been told that being in the CR profession is quite lonely. We need to share experience, we need to share expertise, and we need to support the next generation of CR leaders. So we have a mentoring program where we actually mentor those people that are new into the industry or are just learning early on in their career to help them build those skills. But I would hate it if that inhibited their innovation, because I actually do think the innovation, the entrepreneurism is what is going to get us to achieve those sustainability development goals that we so desperately need to do.
Brilliant, what a refreshing note to end on. Thank you both for your time, and I realise you've got it dashed, so thank you.